Smooch and be smooching.
It's Lindsay Lohan.
Don't like the regular audiobooks. I'm completely gagged by the graphic audiobooks, and what a time to be alive.
It is release party time.
She bullied me into it. She said it was 40 more cents. Okay, so I finished. Wow. Okay.
Hello friends and welcome to my channel. As you can see, I'm holding up some options for me to be reading in this current space and time. So I wanted to go ahead and kick off this reading vlog because I did go ahead and start the audiobooks for this. This is starting off really well. Okay, so context for Fourth Wing Iron Flame when I have read it, my personal journey with them. I picked up Fourth Wing right when it very first released. I actually was able to get a hold of it at Barnes & Noble like 2-3 days early before the release date. Best day of my life. And then I read it on one Saturday and I was like, this is the best book of my life. I freaking loved this, and I'm not really sure why I didn't initially give it 5 stars. Regardless, I then, whenever Iron Flame came out, I decided to go ahead and reread Fourth Wing. Then I read Iron Flame right when Iron Flame released. And this time around, I told myself, with the anticipation of Onyx Storm coming in January, I was like, you know, I don't think I'm going to reread Fourth Wing yet again. But I definitely do want to read Iron Flame. And then the Who Did This To You book club. We read Fourth Wing in November. We are now reading Iron Flame in December. And then January is going to be all about Onyx Storm. So I knew that I was going to be picking up Iron Flame sometime in December. And so when I finished my current audiobook, Never Lie, I decided to go ahead and pick this up. If you were curious, both of these, the regular versions and the graphic audio versions, are available on Everand. So I decided to go ahead and pick this up, and I was like, wait, I know that it starts off in a flashback. I kind of want to reread Fourth Wing. So now I'm rereading Fourth Wing for the second time. So this will be my third read through of Fourth Wing. I wanted to go ahead and bring you guys along the journey. This is going to be a completely spoiler-free reading vlog. So here's what's going to happen. I am going to start off listening to the graphic audio just because I'm curious, and keep in mind this is the third freaking time I'm reading this book. I'm not necessarily the best rereader, and having something like a graphic audio that's in a completely different format, I'm hoping will be fun for me. This book also, parts of it do read really silly goofy, and it's just like silly goofy drama, and that's definitely what the audiobook gives in the graphic format. So I started this. I am all of 15 minutes in. We will see if I continue listening to the graphic audio or if I switch to the regular audiobook or if I pick this up physically, because I have access to these on Kindle Unlimited. I did buy the Iron Flame audiobook when it came out for like $15, and now it's on KU, so that's cool. So I wanted to go ahead and kick off this vlog knowing that I am currently listening to Fourth Wing. However, I'm still trying to finish out my reading Red and Green books for a week vlog, so I'm not going to put a whole ton of focus on this, but I did want to go ahead and kick this vlog off just in case I did all of a sudden just have my life taken over by this yet again. And if not, I will circle back when I do have some updates. However, I do want to just quickly talk about this dust jacket here. This is the Nerdy Ink dust jacket for Fourth Wing, and I obviously had to flaunt my first edition spray edges. However, I really would love to get a hold of the Nerdy Ink Iron Flame dust jacket, but I have not done so yet, and because I've not done so, I think I might wait until the Onyx Storm one's not going to come out for a while, will it? I don't know. We've got to mismatch that here, and it is driving me crazy, and I just wanted you to know that. Regardless, let's kick off a reread for a series that I'm so stinking excited for the continuation of.
Okay, so I have been laying in bed scrolling and looking at bullet journal stickers. However, I couldn't figure out what, like, the narrator for the graphic audio, obviously Fourth Wing book, it kept giving me somebody that I felt like I knew, and I couldn't decide who it was, and then it suddenly hit me, it's Lindsay Lohan. So somebody tell me why Lindsay Lohan is narrating Fourth Wing. I love this new era for her. She's really in her comeback era, and I'm just gonna pretend it's her from now on out because it's cracking me up, but I could not figure, like, now that I've noticed that it sounds like her, I can't unhear it. So I will be listening to Lindsay Lohan tell me all about dragons. I love life.
Life is worth living. Hello friends, I wanted to give you a quick update. I have managed to finish the first part of the graphic audio for Fourth Wing. I really liked it. I wasn't anticipating being, I don't know, I wasn't even necessarily anticipating liking the graphic audiobook at all, but the fact that I have now, I'm working on a third read through of this book, it is something fun to kind of jazz things up, and it also is giving a show like feeling. It's dramatizing, obviously, in a, I was gonna say graphic manner. We've not really gotten to the graphic parts of this book, but it's giving some more life to a story that I have already experienced, and it's making me interact with that content in a different manner, and I'm really enjoying that so far. This is a book that is going to make for a really great movie, TV show, cinema situation, and I feel like having the graphic audio version of this is giving more of that multimedia like dimension to it, if that makes sense. It's providing more of a visual element somehow, and I'm really enjoying the beginning and the setup told in that kind of fashion. I feel as if the female narrator, I'm not so sure about her. Like, she seems very, like, the narrator that they chose for her has a younger sounding voice, so it's kind of throwing me off a little bit in that sense, but everyone else I've been really enjoying, and I think that having some of the sound effects added is really just doing it for me. However, I am now towards the halfway point in which certain altercations are starting to occur. When these altercations are occurring, you're getting some more of the, like, not like scream soundings, but people are like yelling as they're like yelling at each other, and it's making this experience a bit more visceral as opposed to me just like reading over it, because I'm reading it for the third time. So I'm really fully, very much so, recommending the graphic audiobook if you have read it before and you're wanting to give some more dimension to it, because it's fully working for me for now. For now, being as we get further on into this book, when some of the spice starts to occur and some of the more, I feel like the conflict is going to be really interesting, but the spice, I'm kind of concerned how that's going to go in terms of the graphic audiobookness, because when I read Agatar, it was smoochin' be smoochin', and they also did really weird sounds for the winnowing in Agatar. Like, I don't know about that, but this here, I'm intrigued. I'm definitely intrigued. The other element too that I didn't even mention was that because a lot of the conversations that the dragons are having with Violet, they happen in her head. It's like a telepathic dragon conversation system similar to Aragon, which we all know that I love. That being told from a full cast audiobook is very interesting. I really like getting to hear the conversations like that. So circling back, as we get further into this book, as more of the spice starts to occur and more drama, I'm curious if the graphic audio is going to ham it up a little bit too much for me. So I will report back when I finish this one. However, for right now, I'm into it. We're having a successful reread so far. And if you know anything about me, I always say that I really want to reread books, and then I start to reread them, and then I'm like, no, I really don't want to do this right now. I'm not a very good rereader. So the fact that this is going well for me at all right now is definitely a good sign.
Hello friends, quick reading update. I started Iron Flame today. I was not able to start the graphic audio because Everand was like delaying it said it wasn't available until December 24th or whatever. So I started the regular audiobook that I got through my library. I miss the graphic audiobook. When did that happen? I do not know. When did I suddenly become a graphic audio girly? Because for Agatar and beyond, I absolutely hated it. So there's that. I really think what I'm going to do is listen to at least the first half. It's December 21st right now, and I anticipate having a lot of time to listen to audiobooks in between now and the 24th. So I'm really aggressively considering buying the graphic audiobook, which I don't know. But anyways, that's your reading update. I don't like the regular audiobooks. I'm completely gagged by the graphic audiobooks, and what a time to be alive.
It is release party time. I have been at work most of today, and then I posted my reset vlog just now, so I have been like very mentally busy. The fact that I'm no longer like doing literally anything other than this getting ready for the midnight release party, I can't even begin to fathom what is currently happening. It's time. I wanted to try out this new eyeshadow, and honestly, it's a vibe as a topper, but also I wanted it to be darker. This is ColourPop Ritz, in case you were curious, and it is pretty ritzy, pretty razzle dazzle, pretty jazzy. I filmed the intro, like, bits of this vlog approximately what feels like a million years ago, and I ended up putting Iron Flame down for a little bit just because I did want to read some other things, and I have already read Iron Flame before, so I didn't really feel the full need to fully reread, so I didn't. And I think that I'm kind of glad that I did, because I do vividly remember so much of Iron Flame. However, I will be looking up a recap probably to listen to while I finish getting ready and or on my way to the release party. Now, I initially was not planning on going to a release party. I don't know, I just didn't end up pre-ordering it through Barnes because I had it pre-ordered through Amazon from like the second that it was very initially announced. So I didn't end up pre-ordering it. And I was like, well, I don't really want to buy another copy to go to the Barnes party. And it was online displayed. And when I had called initially, they were all like, yeah, you have to buy the book in order to get a ticket, and you have to have a ticket to come. And I was like, okay. So I get there. I went this weekend because I was curious if that was still the case. And I went and asked them, I was like, hey, so if I don't have a book, can I just show up? Do I have to have a book in order to come? And they were like, yeah, no, you can just show up because there's gonna be I was like, okay. She's like, yeah, we just can't promise that you'll get a book. And I was like, that's okay. So if I happen to get a book there, that'll be great, because my freaking Amazon pre-order that I pre-ordered the second the pre-orders were available, it's not arriving until Wednesday. I feel like that's been the case everywhere lately with every place that you pre-order from. Like every time that somebody pre-orders a book, especially on these bigger releases, they just don't get here. And I understand that like retailers can only control so much because, you know, they're not the ones who are marching it to your front door. However, it is a little bit like, why am I even pre-ordering it versus doing a release party like this? If there is a release party available local to you. Part of me also, I'm not saying that they're doing this, but part of the implication is that for me personally, like I was planning on buying the Kindle copy anyways because I am who I am. However, for the people who are physical or Kindle readers, if they were not necessarily planning on getting the Kindle edition, but suddenly they can't read it on release day because their pre-ordered copy that they already have in the mail is not here, literally, why wouldn't they order the Kindle edition? So now you've got people ordering multiple editions, and if they're not ordering the Kindle edition, maybe they're ordering the audiobook when maybe they might not have beforehand. And I feel as if that's a very small portion of the demographic of readers, but it is interesting to think about. I'd be really curious to see some like research on all of the modern day post-COVID statistics. All of that aside, I am absolutely thrilled and also in shock because I was feeling the same way during the Crescent City release last year. I felt like it was in shock of it finally happening, and I feel like that's just kind of how all of these big releases feel, but because I documented Crescent City, I feel like I vividly remember so much of it, and I feel like this feels similar in so many ways, but I'm also feeling kind of less excited for this book in a sense, just because Crescent City I love so much, and like Iron Flame I didn't love as much, whereas Fourth Wing I loved. So I think coming fresh off of a release that I didn't necessarily love in this series, I'm not as like manic, which I kind of love. However, also fresh off of the Crescent City release, I kind of know where to set some expectations, because with Crescent City, I, along with the whole internet, was really subscribing to different camps of what I thought that this book was going to be, and then whenever it came out and it wasn't that, I had no one to blame but me. So I feel as if for this release, I have come into it with very managed expectations, and for that, I am very glad. However, let's talk about the release party itself. I have no idea what's going to actually happen at this party. However, I am kind of confused by the fact that I'm not more nervous by that, because I am not necessarily going with anybody. Over the last year, I have joined several different local book clubs that all have people that are interested in this release. So I feel like I'm gonna run into people I know, but all of the people that I messaged were not available. But again, I'm gonna run into people I know. So I feel like I'm going alone, because I am going alone, but I'm also like not gonna show up to be the only person there and like I'm gonna find somebody to talk to and it's gonna be fine. Which is something that if I were to have to do this time last year, I straight up wouldn't have gone to this release this time last year. So I'm really proud of the growth I've had recently. And that's also me being super emo because I did just do my vision board and talk about like a reflection of all the friendships and stuff that I've made over the last year. So if you're someone who is looking for a way to like obviously make friends and stuff, but if you're somebody who would love to go to an event like this, but you're terrified because you don't know anyone, surprise, surprise, it helps when you do know people. And again, one of the easiest ways is getting involved into local book clubs. I know different areas have different book clubs. It is hard to find book clubs that read what you want to read a lot of times, but also if you just post on Facebook in your like neighborhood, city, group, you will end up finding some people, and that is an excellent place to start. For me, that has been literally everything over the last year, so it just makes me feel very, very thankful for not only my friends, but also for the growth that this stage in life has brought me. So anyways, all the emo talk aside, I'm gonna finish doing my makeup. I'm going to figure out what pants I'm going to be wearing, and then we're gonna go talk about some dragons. I'm so excited. So I ordered a venti drink. I was asked if I wanted to pay 40 cents more to get a Trenta, so I'm about to have a Trenta cold brew. So the plan for now is that I'm going to read this entire book. I'm gonna read this book tonight, and then in the morning I will go to Target and get the exclusive edition. Stay tuned. Where's the extra one? So cute!
They're doing dogs. I don't care about dogs. I'm not good.
She said, give me what I want.
Look at guys, it's officially time.
What? What's your stack look? I was trying to come up with some way to say, hi friends, I have something to show you all. And I couldn't find a way because I'm literally just absolutely speechless. So the something being, oh my, is this real? I was really thinking that I wasn't going to be able to get my hands on a copy. So we were initially told for our particular Barnes & Noble release, advertisements, if you will, online, they specifically stated that if you did not pre-order, you were not getting a book. And they also stated that the event started at 9. Well, I think we talked about this earlier, how I went and talked to two different employees on Sunday, and they were like, yeah, just show up. There's no like ticket to get in the door. And I was like, great. So I showed up. But then earlier today, I looked at our particular local Barnes & Noble's Instagram stories, and they had posted that the party would actually start at 8. So I was like, great, cool. I'll just, you know, be there at 8. I'll be busting down the doors, but like hopefully not too early. So I get there. I wasn't really sure if they were going to be doing any specific events or how it was all going to work. I get there, and the girls that were working were so nice. They were like, yeah, welcome in. Yeah, just go upstairs and wait in line. And I was like, great, cool. So I was really confused if the upstairs was for the people that had the wristbands who actually pre-ordered, or if it was just to go wait. So I walked around, got the Trenta, coffee, as you saw. She bullied me into it. She said it was 40 more cents. I had to get it. And then I proceeded to get aggressively caffeinated. So then I went and got in line, and we stood there for probably about like 40 minutes and nothing was really happening. And I was like, so glad that I came. And then I was looking on Instagram. One of my book club friends, she had posted on her story earlier today, was she had posted a poll like, should I go, yes or no? And so obviously I voted yes. Then I DM'd her and I was like, hey, so when are you gonna be here? And so she came. So we started talking about, I don't know how we got there. Obviously, you know, we were at a fantasy book event. We started talking about Throne of Glass, and then the people that were sitting behind me, they were like, hey, did you say something about Throne of Glass? And we were like, yeah, have you read it? And then we proceeded to gab for the next 2 hours. It ended up being a mom, her 2 daughters, and then one of their friends. And it was so fun to just like chit chat, gab, go on and on. The 2 girls that were actually in front of me, they were both in law school, and they were both taking like point and shoot camera photos off the balcony, and they were posing. Not only were they hot, but they were also in law school. So they were really winning. And then by the end of the night, I think kind of all of us and everyone everywhere was just chit-chatting. And it was so stinking fun. But then also somebody came around. First of all, I figured out that Tyler, ex Fanboy Reads X on Instagram, I didn't realize that he lived in Lubbock. So I didn't end up getting to say hi to him, but we DM'd and it was so cool. So I had so much fun. So I'm really glad that I went, but also I'm glad that the people that I met where I was at, that all worked out really well. I also met, so we were sitting here gabbing about Throne of Glass, and then all of a sudden I say, hey, are you Baze Reads? And I was like, am I being recognized in the wild? So another Bailey, actually. Okay, so my roommate just got home, which means it was probably way past time for me to stop gabbing. But it was definitely time, because that means I get to come back to my bookshelf and acquire the other copies and get to see all the precious little BBs together. Also, I did fall prey to the additional fun items. I'm currently starting a pen collection. My roommate got me the Akatar dresser pin for Christmas, so that is currently on my backpack. We're going to be adding some 4th Wayne pins. We got some washi tape. Did I mostly get this washi tape just for the books and for the dragons? Yeah. But I'm very excited to do an Empyrean series spread now. So I know that Rebecca Yaros had posted on her Instagram stories that the playlist that everyone, Oliver. But I brought my Barnes & Noble canvas bag with me, but I ended up leaving it in the car because I didn't end up needing it. I just threw it on my bed while I came back here. Oliver's now rubbing all over the bag. So I've seen everyone losing their ever-loving minds to this playlist, and I have not listened to it yet. I think what I'm going to do is, I've not planned this far ahead. So I was 200th in line at my library for the audiobook, and then at 11 p.m. I got a notification that my hold was available. So I do have the audiobook, and I obviously have the beautiful, lovely physical edition. There is the playlist. So what I think I'm going to do is I am going to put on some probably pajamas, put on some comfy clothes, and I'm going to lay down in bed. It's currently like 12 degrees outside, and I feel like it, especially like being outside and coming inside, like my clothes are cold. So I'm going to burrow. I can't believe this is my life right now. And start reading this book. I am aggressively overly caffeinated due to the train dust, and I'm going to keep blaming the train dust. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to keep reading it and see what happens. I do have Oliver. Lay down. Just pick a place, buddy. I do have my alarm set for 1:58 a.m. so that way whenever the Target pre-orders open for the Target exclusive edition, I will be hopefully one of the first in line, if not the first in line. But a couple of my local book club friends are going to go to one of the Targets after they drop off their kids to school and before they go to work. So at 7:30 in the morning, I will be at Target, hoping I can get a Target exclusive edition. I have the next 2 days off of work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to handle this vlog very similarly to how I did my Crescent City 3, the book that shall not be named vlog, in which I will give you guys non-spoiler updates, and then I will give you all my spoilery thoughts at the very, very end, so you can, you know, obviously not get spoiled if you're not looking to get spoiled. I feel very strongly about not spoiling, so my thoughts will be very, very vague, and I think instead of doing a spoilery full section like I did with the Crescent City vlog, is that I'm going to recap all my thoughts at the very end unless something just like absolutely dramatic happens that I need to gab about. So I will very clearly mark the timestamp. Timestamp will be here, as well as I'll give you a heads up before that part. There will be a pinned comment, I'm pretty sure. And I will also put chapters on this, so that way if you are trying to not get spoiled, it'll be very easy to know when that's happening and you can skip that. Hi, sorry, 2 seconds later, I have been informed that I received a package, and I don't know what this package is, but I have a feeling this package could be something, And if it is what I think it is, this is not what I thought it was. So I don't know that I have talked about this in any like long form channel positions, but I did talk about on Reading Sprints how I had ordered the Quicksilver Indie Edition right when I read it, loved it, was so excited to have the indie copy, and this was right when it was going out of print indie. I ordered it and I was like, yes, great, I got it. And then it was lost. It never arrived, so I was so sad. To also add in the fact that I put in a claim on USPS and they never responded, and then they resolved my ticket and they were like, sorry about ya, and it's here. I think I'm having heart palpitations. Could have been the train to cold brew that I had earlier, and or the lack of sleep, and or the fact that it's 1 a.m. and or I was really half thinking this is my Onyx Storm copy. This is in fact my Indie Quicksilver copy. I was this close to shelling. Sorry, I keep looking at myself because this is very I think I'm disassociating. I was this close from shelling out the like $60 a minimum that people are listing this for on Panko, because I wanted the indie edition so bad, because this is my favorite book of 2024. I'm gonna have to ask my roommate where this came from, because this is exactly, I had ordered, I think it was the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of House of Sky and Breath this time last year from somebody on Pango, and then the package disappeared. And then it showed up 3 months later. And I was really curious if that might happen again, pipe dream curious, and it apparently happened again. Wow, I feel so emotionally overstimulated at the moment, and it's only going to continue. This is going well. Minor complaint, I edited my cutesy little reel, which I was very excited about. However, I interrupted editing my reel so that way I could get to Target.com and try to order their exclusive edition. No, absolutely no was that happening. I tried like many a time. It initially was saying in stock at store, and then it switched to limited stock. It let me add it to cart, and then whenever I tried to pay, it was like payment failed. And then I could add it to cart for shipping. So I added that to my cart, and that also failed. So things are going good. AKA it is now 2:50 in the morning and I still have not started. So we're doing strong. Also, I really thought that Onyx Storm was gonna be on KU since Fourth Wing and Iron Flame are on KU. Onyx Storm is not on KU. So that's interesting. Part of me is like, I should just buy it. The other part of me is like, I'm gonna read the physical edition. We'll see. Jaw on the floor. I've come to a realization. All I can say is I can count to 6. And I've never been a fan of math. Rebecca. Okay, so it is currently 6 a.m. I am 137 pages in. I'm enjoying this so far, which is very exciting. I am rather entertained with this at the moment. As far as like this compared to Iron Flame, so far I'm liking it so much more. I think all of it is good. However, I'm only 137 pages in, and there's quite a bit that can occur. I think plot-wise we're doing better. I think character development-wise we are doing better so far. The tension in this, I think, is coming from very valid places so far, that I'm really glad that that's the direction that we went. Just feels a lot more purposeful, as opposed to just being like, well, I guess we'll just have them fight now because that's what feels right. Like, I think that it is much better plotted so far.
again, there's so much more to go, so I'm definitely very, very stinking curious. I'm torn between being sleepy and also being kind of wired. Feel kind of sleepy, and I know that I should be sleepy, but because I know that I have to start moving and grooving here in a little bit, I think I'm doing okay sleep-wise. So I am going to chug some water because the water's been over here and I've just been completely ignoring it. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm going to proceed to see how much further I can get into this bad boy. Part of me really feels like my expectations at the moment are really being at minimum met, and I think that's because I had such low expectations going into this book that I think that was just the absolute proper place for my brain to be. So in terms of the expectations versus reality argument so far, I'm not mad at it. I'm kind of mad about the Target edition, but we'll talk about it later. Hee hee. We have the goods. I've never felt such a rush as I did today. Apart from like the OG Black Friday sales, the vibe of running in, trying to not get trampled, and acquiring your item, the rush, is something that I experienced on this day. And while that was fun, so me and some of my book club friends had all kind of grouped together, and we said, okay, we are going to be at Target at 7:30 a.m. They open at 8. It'll be great. Surely no one's going to be there that early. So I roll up at 7:20, and I was like, okay, well, I will just read my silly little book in this silly little parking lot until I see people. Surely, because it is so cold outside, surely we won't be lining up. Surely when they open the doors, they we'll all get out and run. I did not, however, look to see what time Target actually opened. I was kind of like, oh yeah, we'll get there at 7:30, but great. That was all I knew. Target obviously didn't open naturally until 8, which was, you know, great, fine, whatever. But I lined up at 7:20, like 4 or so, when everyone else was lining up. It was 5 degrees Fahrenheit as we were walking in the door. So it was, you know, below 5 degrees, and I proceeded to stand in below 5-degree weather for approximately 30 minutes waiting for my book. However, I would like to thank not only the Old Navy jacket, but the North Face from 2016, baby, because we got it. I also cannot believe my fate. I ended up being the 9th person in line. I had heard of a lot of Targets that had only gotten like 7 copies, so I was really hopeful. And then whenever they opened the doors at 8, they told us specifically, do not run. And so we're all like speed walking to get there. And all of a sudden, the person behind me, I start hearing that they're starting to walk much faster, and I was like, listen, am I about to get run over? Is that what's about to happen here? So I proceeded to walk as fast as I feasibly could, and we get back to the book section, and they had everything in a little standalone thing that I did not record, because as soon as I got up to it, being closer to the front in line, but not the front in line, the people that were in the very, very front of the line, they proceeded to grab their book and stand just out of the way. So when I tried to get out of the way, they were blocking the way to get out of the way while people were trying to like fight each other to get to the remaining copies. And I was like, I will not die today. I will not die today. So I managed to successfully not get trampled by the skin of my cozy little neck, and we got a copy. However, I did see somebody post in Pincole's Discord that they had talked to a Target employee, and they had said that they were going to get more copies February 1st. So with how freaking limited these are, I would be shocked if they did not do more editions of these. But also, there were so many people that came this morning before 8 a.m. before Target closed that didn't get copies. And I know that they say like limited stock or whatever, but like I feel like that's a little aggressively limited when you couldn't even pre-order it online. So I think that as we learn from the popularity of Fourth Wing and how this series, the releases have really become, sorry, I'm trying to hide my face from the sun here with the book, but as we're learning from this series and the widespread popularity, how release days go and how they can go poorly in some cases and great in other cases. So hopefully this is all a learning experience. And while I thankfully got my copy, think all that is good. I know that there are a lot of people that did not, so I'm really hopeful that they will do some sort of reprint, re-release situation where people can actually get a hold of it. However, I am currently 150 pages in. Okay, my arm is burning. I really wanted to try, and only because I feel like it would be a fun thing to post about, the Sabrina Carpenter Duncan shaken espresso situation, but I feel like the amount of adrenaline rush that I just got means that I need no caffeine at all. So low-key, I might just sit here for a little bit and enjoy pretending to be outside and read a little bit more. Regardless, it has been so stinking fun to be able to get to hang out with my IRL besties, even if we saw each other for a literal 2 minutes. I got to see Alex, Brie, and Liz all this morning, and I am so glad to start this wonderful magical day getting to see their faces. Just looked at the blurb on this one. Christopher Paolini has a blurb. And by a blurb, I mean the blurb. What? Rebecca Yarros has created some awesome dragons. Proud, beautiful, and full of unique magics. He would say magics. How about that?
My cage and I am entirely uncertain if I'm doing fine. I have fallen into a trap and I cannot get up. I am 280 pages in, and I wanted to go ahead and update you because I obviously had to get up and walk around for a little bit, but I just feel the urge to just steamroll the rest of this book, and I'm okay with that. I am having a really good time. I think that this is so much better written. We're learning so much more information than in previous installments, and I'm really happy with that. I am deeply entertained, and again, I think because my expectations were kind of lower, expectation exceeding amount that's currently happening is a good time. It's currently, what time is it? 3:13. So here's the thing. I'm currently watching Cass, Mel, Lexi, Bree, and Tori. They're doing the Patreon reading sprints, and it's hilarious because every time we do a 45-minute sprint, we get off and we're like, hey guys, so can we start reading now? So this is the most productive reading sprint I've ever done in my entire life, and I think we're all very much so feeling it because we're all just kind of tracking along. But I do think that I was reading the beginning much slower and just like trying to wrap my head around the world again, and now that I feel like I am wrapped around, world is worlding. So there's your quick little rapid fire halfway-ish update, just over halfway technically. I really think I'm gonna finish this book today. Also, I am fully aware of the fact that I, haven't slept. It's giving Vin and Cheek. I don't know if anyone else, well, I assume other people do this. You know how when you get nervous and like start chewing your inner lip? I'm getting a little raw. So I finished. Wow, okay. In case you're wondering why he's covered in grass, it is because Oliver suddenly has a hankering to do happy rubbies in the grass, and he's covered. So that's gonna be super fun to vacuum, but he's so sleepy. We have absolutely sat on this couch all day. It's currently 9:23 p.m. in the evening. Okay, would you like to hold this for us? Here's the vibes. I finished this book, I got up, went to the bathroom, like, walked around for just a second, grabbed my tripod, all those good things, and I figured that would be enough time for me to kind of quickly gather my thoughts and be able to gab, and now I'm like, what just happened to me? Okay, let's cut to the chase here. I'm gonna give this book a 4.5 star. I will talk about the specific reasons why I'm not giving it a 5 star in the
spoiler sections momentarily. However, this felt like grown-up Fourth Wing. This felt like Rebecca Yarros took the existing characters and was like, okay, you know what? They are going to be second years. We're going to have them grown up. We're going to have them be more mature in how they approach their relationships. They've kind of worked out some things and they know how to approach each other. And I think that that was such a refresh. We did get to see more of the side character development. Keep in mind, this is all first person from Violet's point of view. That obviously does limit you with how much you're able to display on other characters. However, I do think that this book took more of the emphasis on, because Violet and Xaden, their romance, this is now book 3. They've kind of like gone through some things. They're still going through things, but like, we're not getting the fun freshness out of them necessarily. We were getting the fun freshness out of a couple other side characters, and it was to a point where it wasn't about them at all. It was still Violet's point of view, and I really liked how limited it was, while also the fact that we did it. I was into that. I think that this book felt very well edited. There were not any parts really that drug. I felt like I was reading it fast, but then the more that I think about it, the more that I'm like, I have been reading this for a very long time now. I think I got home at about 12:30. By the time I had made my Instagram reel, I really did not read a whole ton last night, but then I went to the Target release and I've been reading pretty much all day. So it's been nearly a 24-hour period. I've definitely not been reading for 24 hours straight. However, I did do reading sprints for over like 6 hours and 45 minutes. Parts of it really felt like it was flying by. It definitely took me some time to read. And I'm kind of into that. Okay, let's kind of break it down from a couple perspectives. We have seen so many friendships throughout this series, but at this point, these friendships are really, really close. And they're not really like faffing around. They've kind of figured each other out to a certain extent. And so you're really just getting to watch them be there for each other and then kind of like finally work through a couple of like last pieces that we had been waiting on them to work through, which was really interesting. And I loved all those little moments. They were so good. We got so many good Xaden moments. Like if you're a Xaden fan, I think there's so many moments in this book that were it. Okay. Xaden and Violet themselves, they felt very mature, especially compared to Iron Flame. There are definitely some things structurally that was causing conflict within their lives, but it wasn't them. And I really like that. So that's your characters. I'm trying to think of the cow pile system. What is action? The action was really pretty good. Again, there were several parts of Iron Flame that drug. Fourth Wing was so fun. There were definitely moments where it was kind of info dumpy and you were definitely developing some things. However, overall, it felt very action forward, as it should for a book that's literally about a, dragon fighting war college. So this just felt like we were kind of getting back to our roots of what this series was supposed to be in that aspect. What do the rest of the letters stand for? I don't know. Let's talk about the plot for a second. There were a lot more tasks in this book that we wanted to accomplish as opposed to us just kind of like learning things all the time. Like we were learning things, but we were also really accomplishing tasks. And I think that there were so many really tensiony, cliffhangery moments very often, and it kept me personally very engaged. And again, it felt more so like Fourth Wing, in which there was conflict and you were like needing to figure out what the heck this conflict was, as opposed to being like, I think we've seen this before. So I really loved. Would you like to say something? He was too stunned to speak, just like I was finishing this book. I think that if you loved Fourth Wing and you did not love Iron Flame as much, I think this book is going to be very, very much so up your alley. And I'm so glad that it went the way that it did. I, however, do not feel, and keep in mind I did just finish this, like 10 minutes ago now at most. I don't feel as broken as I might have expected to have been. I know book 4 is, really nowhere in the immediate works. So I am glad. So in those uncertain terms, that's kind of where the half-star deduction is coming from. Don't get me wrong, I was definitely squealing at some of the parts, but I'm gonna save some of that for the spoilery section. However, I really, really love this book. I had such a fun time with this book. So my friends, we have made it to the end, to the final chapter of this installment of the Empyrean series for 2025. Wow. I think now that I'm at this point, I'm like, wait, no, but like, what do I do with my life? And it's not so much the fact that like, I don't know how to process what just happened. It's just the fact that I have been Onyx Storm for 24 hours straight, and it's like time to take a nap now. But anyways, I had so much fun reading this one, and I had so much fun vlogging it and doing all of the release day activities. So me too, doggy. Felt. If there's glitter all over my face, it's because I, did put on glitter eyeshadow and I never actually took it off. So we're in peak girl rot season, and apparently we are living. Let's just talk about this edition real quick. Since I know that so many people could not get it and they were curious what this edition even was like, we're going to do a little flip through of not only the pages, but all of the individual pieces of art in this book. I will go ahead and put it in the spoilery section just because if you happen to see some of the text on pages, but the images themselves are not all that spoilery. So if you happen to see like a reel or like a TikTok or something of these pieces of art, it's not like character art where you're like, oh no, that character is being referenced. It's pretty tame. So if you've made it this far into the video, go ahead and leave either like a dragon emoji or like the lightning bolt emoji or like the black heart emoji or what's the other, like sparkly emoji, and or tell me about your Onyx Storm reading plans. Are you gonna read it? Are you gonna read it soon? Have you already read it? Have you started the series at large yet? How are we doing? What's the vibe check? Let us know that you made it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night wherever you are, and I will catch you in the next one. So starting now at this moment, we are going to talk about spoilers. We're going to start off with flipping through this, so if you consider that a true spoiler or not, but then afterwards we will be talking about my specific spoiler thoughts. So if you have not read this, skip away. Hi, thanks for watching. If you've not read Onyx Storm, it's your last chance to skip now. Okay, are you gone? Welcome to the spoiler section. We're going to go ahead and start with the flip through, and then we're going to talk all my thoughts. Apparently I have a lot of those. I was curious, given the whole Xaden's ex-girlfriend situation in Iron Flame, would something juicy ever like that come up again, given that on all of the press releases Rebecca would always talk about she wanted to rate, I think like college, everyone's like sleeping with each other, it's all juicy hot goss. Hold it! Cheated on a professor, and that's why she knew. I mean, she knew, like, she's always known the code of conduct, but like that's why Violet immediately, the second that Xaden walked in as a professor, she just shut down. Rebecca. I'm really liking the dynamic between Mira and Brennan, and also throwing in Violet into the mix. I think it's interesting to watch them finally, now that they all know the secrets about each other. In the terms that they're alive, who knows what we're about to find out. I think it's interesting to watch them be in a sibling dynamic. I feel like up until this point, this book is very much so feeling like Fourth Wing, in the sense that they're just kind of like getting up to things together. I'm really liking the tension in between Zayden and Violet right now, in the form of it being through a physical limitation due to his venonness. Also, it is interesting that so many people were theorizing that he just would suddenly just like peace off of the planet and he would not be in this book just because the audiobook narrator that did him in prior books was no longer on it. He's fully involved, and I'm so glad. And I'm really loving the relationship dynamics between the two of them at the moment. Like, Violet and Zayden are just trying to figure it out. They're doing their best. But one thing I've really come to associate with these two as a couple is that they both have very hard limits, and they're really learning how to respect those hard limits between each other. So I'm enjoying watching that progress. I'm enjoying watching all of the friendship dynamics. I feel like we have really met all these characters at this point and we're kind of watching them through. Also Jack, watching him like slowly withering away. I have so many questions about that. But I also, okay, I'm putting my theory out there now that Violet somehow, I don't think she's also going to turn venom, but she's going to somehow get involved with the upper echelon venom, like the venom homegirl that we got at the very beginning. I anticipate her being aggressively relevant. Also, I do think that the inner workings of like the Navarian politics of people not wanting Violet to have all of the access and the abilities in the world, they're kind of wanting to just like control her and all that she is. I'm not necessarily irritated by that by now, but I'm curious to see, will that continue to be the same old story, or will we get our point across and have some freedom in the issues that we need to figure out? However, Zayden becoming the Duke of Tyrandor, it made sense that happened sooner rather than later. That didn't surprise me, but also I felt like that was kind of a foregone conclusion at this point. But one specific, I do wish that I was reading this on my Kindle so I could be highlighting certain quotes, but I'm also kind of like enjoying just going in at it. But there was a specific line where I don't know who it was and who pointed it out, but they were like talking about how Zayden and Violet, like their friends are talking about how they go in the same old argument all the time, and they're like, hey, at least you're not doing that anymore. And I was like, Rebecca, are you trying to be funny? Are you being self-aware right now? Because I giggled. I just left off at the scene where Zayden he started doing the signet training with all of the homies at Basgaiath, and it's now Violet's turn. There's been no word about a second signet in Violet's realm, so I'm curious where that's going. I think we've had some I think the way that this is going to go is we've had very heavy-handed hints, and those heavy-handed hints are going to continue to go until all of a sudden it comes out and we're like, oh, so that makes sense. So yeah, I'm sad. Okay, so some spoilery thoughts. I did not tear. That's like, I did not cry at this book. I did slightly tear up when Adarna was like, deuces. That was not on my bingo card. I'd seen a lot of people post about theories that Taryn was gonna die, and then I was starting to think like, oh wait, what if it's Sigil that's gonna die? But then Adarna just like whipped out of nowhere and was like, bye. So that hurt, and her being like, I get why when people lose their dragons they die, and I was like, oh, I'm fine. So I definitely did tear up at that part. I also got really emo when friggin' Quinn, I knew that there was going to be a dramatic death and I couldn't decide who it was going to be, and I just felt like I knew it wasn't going to be Riddick because we had already killed off friggin' Liam, and the whole like fearsome foursome comment, I was like, no, I don't think that they're going to kill any of those homies off this book. I think that it has to be somebody else. So I was like, what if it's going to be Bodhi? And then I started thinking about it. I was like, we haven't really heard much from Quinn in a while. It's going to be Quinn, isn't it? And then it was Quinn. The fact that we got that scene from Imogen's POV, and the fact that the line was, I'm so sorry I had to go first, whatever. I'm so sorry I have to go first this time. I was like, hello, I wasn't ready. But then let's talk about the ending for a second. I was thinking about this a second ago. We have already done Zayden going Venom as the cliffhanger, okay? we're going with we thought we might be able to cure him, but like JK, he's in deeper now. Great. But then we're also like, surprise, he married you. But like also your bestie Imogen, when did Violet say anything to Imogen? What? Another very, very popular series by another very, very popular author that I'm not going to name because if you haven't read it, I don't want to spoil that for you. The whole oops, we're married plot. And now we're going to use that so that way the female love interest can, you know, have all the title and like privileges and like authority that she needs. I feel like we've done that. So I think that was supposed to be a big shocking thing, and while that was big and shocking because I did not expect that to be happening, I was also like not completely down bad. I was really thinking that somebody else was gonna go Venom, and then the ending was just that like Satan's still Venom. Like that is right there is the whole reason that I marked this down from potentially a 5-star to a 4.5 star, but I will still take it. And I think too because I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, like whatever. It was shocking enough to make it be a good cliffhanger, but it wasn't so shocking that like I am so desperate, beyond desperate for book 4, even though it's not been written yet. Like I feel like I can wait for it. Like I'm definitely going to be reading it immediately on release day, but I'm not going to be like, ugh, when is it coming? Kind of like waxing poetic about it. However, I did think that both Taryn and Sigale being at great health risk was very interesting and caused a lot of tension that I really enjoyed. And then Adarna showing up out of nowhere. Here's the thing. We got information on Violet's second signet, okay? We technically have figured out. I don't think there are still lots of unanswered questions. So here's my new theory. She's supposed to be a dream walker, whatever it is. I don't think that that's entirely the in sum be all of her power, because I don't think that feel like Xaden would have taken credit for all of the moments where he's just like finishing her sentences. He would have taken credit for that if that was truly his signet abilities, but he seemed to like not caught off guard, but like kind of confused by like, yeah, I don't know. But he also didn't seem like too completely mind blown. So I think that they're trying to attribute that as part of the bond between the two of them, but like also, I don't know. It seems if she could be pushing ideas into somebody's dreams, she could be doing it. Not in their dreams as well. However, are we just like never gonna address the fact that we're all of a sudden wielding magic when literally no one else can? But no, there was just a storm in the area. I don't know why I could talk to them and no one else could talk to their dragons. That was so weird. What? I don't really know what that is about. Part of me is like, is it because it's her whole like half she was what's the verbiage? Sorry, she was designated. Will I be able to find the verbiage? Probably not. Hee hee. She was touched but not formally dedicated. Okay. But like, do the priestesses suddenly have some sort of magic? But aren't the dragons supposed to be the ones that like do that? I don't know. So I feel like I picked up on half of that information. Honestly, like I feel like this book is going to be very entertaining on a reread. Forever and a Day Away when book 4 does come out. I don't think I would do another Iron Flame reread, honestly, because I couldn't even finish my first reread. But I will be doing probably an Onyx Storm reread because I genuinely like this book. Like it was so fun. And I think because we got to have so many really good romancy moments in this too, because Xaden being so jealous, iconic. I think that the Catriona business could have been done better because it felt like it just kept coming up and up and up, and it was this whole like thing, and it wasn't just like a, oh, that's juicy, we're moving on, oopsies. And then in this book, finding out about Halden, that was like a, oh, shock, gasp, what? You're kidding. But it was tea. It was not like, okay, can we get on with it? It was drama, and I really found that entertaining. So I think that she took an idea of like this hot, juicy gossip amongst, you know, the early 20-year-olds that are just kind of like figuring out their lives. Ooh. And she made it better. Like she made it less cheesy, I think, in a lot of cases. However, I think that there was so much fluff that was cut out of this book. I'm imagining there was a lack of fluff overall, and I'm very satisfied with this book. So I knew that this book in particular was going to be kind of a turning point for this series in terms of, hey, you know, we all really liked Fourth Wing. A lot of us really did not like Iron Flame. Was Fourth Wing like a one-hit wonder or something? Like, what was happening with that? What is Onyx Storm going to be? An update. It was good. I'm glad that I like it because I now have, you know, 3 copies. So that is going to be all for me. I'm going to go sit down. I'm going to go edit this vlog so I can get it out pretty quickly, hopefully. And then I'm going to go take a nap.